So, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Why Not Me podcast. I am your host, Jerry Ruiz. With me today, I have Las Vegas' own Ryan Brown from the Classic Jewel. Give her a big round of applause. how's, how's it going, Ryan Brown?
It's great. Thank you for having me, Jerry. And congrats on the podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Uh, the crazy thing about this is like, so we're just face to face, right? So I never really thought about like when people watch or watch after, but someone told me that oh hey, how many people are watching live? And I was like, oh, there's only like 6 people. I'm like, it doesn't feel like a lot, and they're like, well, it's a start. And if you really think about it, you're like, if you have 6 people in a room watching you, then that's something that not a lot of people normally have. So I appreciate you coming on here to give people something to watch and talk about, and I'm glad to help you promote your business. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
to transition into this and smooth things out, I guess I can ask you, what is the Classic Jewel?
So, Classic Jewel is a cocktail lounge, live music, and hookah venue in downtown Las Vegas. Myself and my partners, we have owned it for just over 5 years now. We made 5 years in June. And, I like to think of us as a non-traditional bar. We are very involved in the community. We're kind of known as more of a cultural community hub than we are a cocktail lounge. So it's really unique that we've been able to, kind of be ourselves, push, organizations, other small businesses that we've got a lot of things in common with. So we're able to do a lot more, I think, than other bars. Classic Jewel is a cocktail lounge, like I said, live music and hookah venue. But it's definitely Cheers. It's definitely a local spot.
Okay, I like that. I guess in a little bit I'll ask you like kind of how big it is or how many customers you get, maybe like on average, maybe during the regular week versus the weekend. But I
Yes.
go for it.
No, I was just going to say the weekends have been so busy lately. I'm so thankful. I mean, after everything that's been going on to be this busy, in March, I didn't see it coming. I'm super thankful.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. I was kind of curious too, how business would be now since the whole COVID thing. But I like, I don't know, I don't bar hop too much, or I don't really go to too much bars. Once I find one I like, I kind of stick to that one. I'll have one or two that I normally go to. So hopefully when I'm in Vegas, the Classic Jewel is one of them. But how long have you had how long have you had the Classic Jewel for?
So before it was Classic Jewel, it was just a shell. So we've had it since the very beginning. So June 2015.
June 2015. And
Hmm.
how long have you been a bartender for?
So I actually don't
Oh,
bartend
you don't
at the
bartend.
bar. No, I don't. I tend to bartend when someone doesn't come to work. So I actually did bartend this weekend. And it's always fun to kind of get back in the swing of things. But I've got a great team, and usually when you see me behind the bar, um, it's because either helping out, and I kind of want to be that helping hand. But after 5 years of being in business, we've been able to like get the best team. So those days are very few and far between.
Uh,
I do start to home pretty often.
oh,
um,
nice.
and so my start even in the industry, I mean, I used to bartend in college. I did cocktail waitressing and things like that. So I'm not too far from it. But the industry has changed so much that I would much rather employ professionals and leave like the math and the HR stuff to me.
Okay. See, I guess I stereotyped bar owners. I figured that they all started out bartending and then they worked their way up to owning the business like that. So,
No, not at all. So I always tell people that I'm super passionate about cocktails and great food, but more so like a fan, I'd say. And I think that that's kind of what inspired, me to want to get in this business because I'm such a fan of the industry. But more so, I think I'm just a businesswoman. You know, I think I'm someone that has always felt good in the bar setting. Prior to being an entrepreneur, I worked in corporate America, so I lived in cities where I didn't know many people. Traveled a lot, and so I always had kind of like you, like my one or two bars that kind of became my family. There were, you know, I would bring like first dates. You know, I would bring my colleagues. You know, like our neighborhood bar. And so I think I just love the culture that comes with it. And you know, as a businesswoman, the profit margins aren't too bad. And so it's a good industry to be in. It hadn't changed in, you know, hundreds of years, except for, you know, since COVID. So things are a little bit different now, but it's a business model that's been working for a really long time. Like I said, I'm a fan of cocktails, so it just seemed like a no-brainer.
Yeah. No. And then too, you said it's kind of hard meeting people, or you like meeting people, so why not bring them all to you instead of you going out to meet them, huh?
Exactly, exactly.
And I think it'd be pretty cool to make friends and also make money at the same time. So I like that idea.
Yeah, it's an easy sell. You know, we're not out here selling insurance. We're selling a positive time, selling live music, cocktails. And you know, when you live in Las Vegas, like there's a bar and restaurant, you know, every couple doors. It's super saturated. But I do think that we've got a unique identity. And I feel that, you know, I feel like bars are kind of like music genres. You know, like you tend to have people that go to certain bars because maybe they play hip hop or they have live music, or you know, because they just have like a certain culture. And I think it's really cool to be able to recreate that in all the cities that I've traveled to, or even worked in. I kind of thought about all the things that always made me feel comfortable. And so it started out kind of more like a hotel lobby bar because we are in a luxury high rise building. So it's kind of being
Dang.
that spot. Yeah, yeah. And I live in the building as well. So is my business partner, and we own other units here. And so for us, it was just kind of like selfishly, what do we want out of a hotel lobby bar? You know, this isn't a hotel, but people tend to live in high rise, you know, high rises because they like the amenities or the concierge feel of it. So we try to just kind of play right into that. And it's been good. It's been really good.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense too. If, this is somewhere you're gonna spend like, well, pretty much the rest of your life or a good amount of your life. You might as well have a good time there, right?
Exactly, exactly. And you know, and one good thing, as far as being in this industry, like I said, it's an easy sell, but you know, us being downtown, we're a part of a lot of the growth. In Las Vegas, our downtown has just grown so much. Um, Unlike other cities, our downtown wasn't like our strongest part of our city. It's always kind of been the strip, just because the tourism and just all the attention. But we actually just last night opened up a brand new hotel and casino called Circa, which make sure you check it out, yesterday. So downtown is continuing to grow. The city has invested, the city of Las Vegas, they've invested so much. And in January, myself and my partners, we actually purchased our commercial spaces. So we are, I don't know about the rest of our lives, Jerry, but
Yeah.
we are going to, but we're going to be here for a while. And we're very much invested, not just in the bar, in the community, but then also the real estate.
Yeah, no, that's pretty. Yeah, that's crazy too. I didn't even think about that, but that's a we can go on talking about that in a little bit. I guess your real estate part, because that's pretty cool too. I like
Thank
that. I
you.
like the fact that you don't have all your money in one basket. You know, you're diversifying, and
Yeah, and it's tough. It's tough, you know, but I feel like with everything going on, it's important for us to think about multiple revenue streams. And you know, being in an industry where, you know, they can, with everything going on, we were shut down for months at a time, and that's a very scary feeling for anyone, to have that type of influence on your income. And so the way we mitigate that is having, you know, multiple streams, because our governor, who I'm a fan of, at any point he could still say you're going to have to shut your businesses down, and he decides to reopen. Occupying 50%, you know, we've been, you know,
oh, hold on, it's
doing
you're
our part.
You were cutting off a little bit.
Um,
Uh,
but too scary to put
can you hear me?
apologies. I was just kind of saying that it's a little scary. I can.
Okay, good. Sorry, you were cutting off. On the part where your governor can shut down
Okay.
everything. Like I guess like this podcast, huh?
Basically, yeah, exactly.
Huh.
But no, just wanting to
Uh,
um,
sorry. I guess you're
not
cutting off right
all,
now.
not to put all your eggs in one basket.
Okay. Sorry about that. I guess take
Okay.
a quick little breather. I'll leave you on the chat just so maybe your internet can load real quick. Um, it looks like everything is starting to go a little smoother. So so you're saying that not to put everything in your eggs in one basket because you were saying that it's kind of scary how outside forces can kind of shut you down, right? Even though you've been doing everything like legitly and like on the book. Sorry.
Right, right. And we talking about having
All right. You're back now. Sorry, you're cutting off again.
uh-oh. So yeah, just kind of what you were saying, having multiple revenue streams, not putting all your eggs in one basket, because with everything that we've learned this year, that things can change. And I'm so thankful that our doors are open, but I'm never going to take that for granted. This whole thing has been super humbling.
What's it called? Yeah, I was gonna say here in California things are kind of strict too. It's not. I think Vegas is probably a little less strict than over here, but at the same time, things are opening back up, and I am kind of worried that they might shut things back down because the whole cases going up and then well here I guess they do it if like a certain amount of cases go up, then you're considered like tier red or something like that.
Right. And very similar here as well. Um, and it's kind of one of those things where, you have to take you have to take it seriously, right? But we just had to be prepared to open because you just never really know. And I don't want to plan for that. But, every day I'm looking at the cases, and our governor, he's really good about updating us. But, it's just kind of trusting the process right now. I don't think anyone knows how this whole thing is going to go. And I think that um, the small businesses that are going to survive this are the ones that have a plan and that have been able to transition. Like for us, we built a kitchen during this time because we know that in order to be back open, we also have to serve food. We've been actually able to hire more people, which I know a lot of places have laid people off, and that's been the total opposite for us. So I think just being prepared, prepared for the worst, but at the same time, I mean, we're full steam ahead right now.
uh, this is me coming from a point of view with no experience whatsoever owning a business. So if it seems like a silly idea or a dumb idea or maybe not logistical, let me know. But I kind of figured that the companies that were shut down, maybe like for like 2 months or 3 months that they knew they were gonna be shut down, maybe they could renovate their buildings, or like if it was like a old building, maybe change the floor, the walls, or I don't know, some the interior. But then you got to pay. That's money you got to pay out of your pocket, right? Which you might not be making at the same time. So
Right, right. And I think that's kind of what we had to ask ourselves. I mean, who's comfortable spending extra money at a time when you're not seeing it coming in? But I think that just doubling down on like our vision and trusting your ability to kind of bounce back has been everything for us. Always staying current on our bills. That's another thing because I know so many small businesses that were kind of already struggling before this happened, and kind of weren't up on applying for SBA loans and grants, They just kind of didn't really keep their ear to the street to know how to make the turn. And I think that's really unfortunate. A lot of the education just really isn't out there either for small businesses. Most people don't know how to run a small business or even start one for that matter. And it's not because of any ignorance. It's just not something we're taught. We're not taught that in school, which is the craziest thing. I mean, I went to college and graduated, working in classes, but there was never a point where
sorry about
someone
that. You're cutting off again. That you said you went to college.
kind of
Sorry, I'll give it a quick second.
ends up.
Hold on. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry about that.
I'm
I,
not sure what's going on.
I'm not too sure either. It's probably there's probably a lot of people at your bar, and it's maybe like weakening the Wi-Fi. I'm assuming.
That's probably what it is.
So
That may be what's going on.
that's the only thing I could probably think of. But so you said you went to college, and then it cut off right there. What were you studying in college?
Not not the bar business.
Okay.
I went to school for journalism and political science, but I was just saying that this industry has changed so much, and even in going to college, even in working in corporate America, nothing was going to prepare me in terms of knowing how to start a business, how to run a business. It's those life skills that you're wondering, why don't they teach us these things in school? Why don't we know the value of credit? Why don't we know how to file, an LLC or register our business? Why don't we understand tax codes? I mean, there's so many things that I'm starting to see. I'm like, is this kind of by design? Because, we invest in our educations. We, are exposed to so much when we work for these companies, but who's exposing us to how to start our own company? So I think, it's a lot of curiosity. Like, you've got to have the curiosity there first. But I mean, you're not wrong in your feelings. Like, most people don't know what it takes to even start a business.
That's kind of on point with the reason why I made this podcast. It's called Why Not Me because, well, I wanted to hear the different perspectives of different people I talk to. So like literally, why not me? Like I'm trying to see why can't I do what you do, and then I wanted people to learn that you don't just have to go to college and you don't have to follow the normal curriculum. You can start your own business, or you can go to like a technical school and be your own boss. It doesn't have to be like you have to be a doctor, or you have to be like one of the main things, a lawyer, something that they tell you like you'll make a lot of money doing this, but it's not for everyone. So
No, and I think non-traditional jobs, especially right now, are the way to go. Entrepreneurship, even people that are interested in like farming, trades, like it's so important that we have, a strong youth coming in that wants to learn trades, because I'm just starting to see us putting a lot more value on those jobs, these necessities. And even when you do go the route of, going for a traditional job, like I worked in the advertising business, I think we just have to be true to ourselves. And for me, it was all about owning my own time. I love to travel. I like to sell a good time. I was always delivering bad news. In my old job, like I would have so much anxiety because
yeah,
even though I loved it, I felt like I was always delivering bad news. Um,
it's
and
terrible.
so I think, it kind of, yeah, and it wears on you, it wears on you. And like I said, I love my job. It was fun. But I just didn't see myself like, I didn't want my boss's job
Yeah,
because he had it worse than I did. And I didn't want his boss's job. And so I think when we just kind of find your own, like for me, it wasn't necessarily the bar business that I was so passionate about, but it was like, I want to own my own time and I want to do it my way. I want to always feel comfortable in my own skin.
yeah,
In corporate America, I didn't always feel that way. And so, we get to make our own rules, and that there's so much freedom in that, that to me, it wasn't, it was priceless. Like it was an easy sell.
Yeah, no, I agree. I work at the post office, and it's not the funnest job in the world, believe it or not.
But it's a necessity.
Yeah,
It's
that's
such
true.
a need. And there's
Yeah,
a lot of job security. There's a lot of job
I
security.
like I like hearing that I'm essential. That's nice to that's nice to hear. And then like you were saying too, all these jobs that they tell you to get when this whole COVID thing happened, you found out which jobs were really important and which ones weren't. So
Exactly.
that's that was a good perspective as well. Um, I know you said that you want to create your own time, you want to create your own schedule, you want to create your own environment, right? That's why you
Hmm.
run your own business.
Yes.
Um, so how did you decide to create the menu for the classic jewel? Like, what is on there? What are some popular drinks?
Okay, so I had very little to do with the cocktail creation. Very good taste tester. I'm a
Oh,
very good
nice.
taste tester. But I like all my drinks with a lot of lime, a lot of lemon. And I had to learn kind of the hard way when we first opened that it's not good when you're thinking about purchasing product to think about only what you like. You've got to think about, what your patrons are going to like, what your customers are going to like, and what your team is going to be able to sell. So in the beginning, there was a lot of expensive wine purchased.
Yeah. Nice.
A lot of expensive wine that I feel like, myself and my partner and my mother, I feel like we drink most of that
Oh,
because we're
nice.
like, well,
You can't
it's
let it
not
go bad.
selling.
Yeah.
Exactly. That would have been a tragedy. And so I think in the beginning, it was like kind of that learning curve, comparing ourselves to other businesses and trying to have menus similar to theirs. And, when we opened and we, named it Classic Jewel, I think we wanted it, we wanted to still pay homage to, classic Las Vegas and downtown. But at the same time, we love craft cocktails. And so I think that that was kind of like the start. It was like, okay, well, let's take the classics that people do well, like the traditional margaritas and mojitos, and just like the classics, martinis, but put our own twist on it. My favorite cocktail, and this is from like one of our original menus, and it still lives on our menu today. It's called the Brandy Cresta, and
Yeah.
it's an old school cocktail. It's been around forever. But I love it just because I hadn't really been, I've always been like a tequila drinker. I went through my
When you said
vodka phase.
yeah, when you said lemon and sour, I kind of pictured tequila.
Oh, yes. And tequila is, to me, out of all the spirits, it's the one that keeps you happy. Like that's the,
uh,
it's a nice fun buzz, when you're drinking tequila. But I want, I have an appreciation for other cocktails. So going back to the Brandy Cresta, it has a cognac base. And it is just so smooth. I like spirit forward cocktails. I like to taste the liquor in the cocktail, not necessarily, a cocktail that's not balanced, but I really like for it to come through, and cognacs, they come through really well. So I'd probably say that that's one of my favorites. But, to answer your question overall, it's just thinking, we're across the street from wedding chapels. We're in downtown Las Vegas, so a lot of tourists. So we kind of had to make more of a turn toward shots.
a
um, yeah, we've had to make the turn because we're getting a lot of people that kind of want in, grab a quick bite, grab a quick shot and a beer. And we don't ever want to be that bar that's too pretentious, like,
yeah.
yeah, that's great. We do martinis. Well, that's great. But at the same time, we want you to feel like you're at Cheers. We want to take the pretentiousness out of it, but we also want you to have an awesome cocktail. So I think that it's cool to be able to still have, layers to what we're doing. But we are not too good for fireball shots and Bud Lights. If that comes through the
Fireball.
door, whatever the customer wants. And I think when we first opened, I didn't want to carry anything like that. I was, I don't know what I was on, Jerry, but I
Yeah.
just, I was just thinking, what do I like? And that's not how business works. That's not being a good business
Yeah.
woman.
Well, that'd
To
be kind.
go in.
Sorry. That'd be kind of like if
No, you're
I
fine.
I went in to go buy a drink from you, and well I'm wearing my you said cognac, but I'm wearing my Hennessy shirt.
Hmm.
You know, I want some Henny and Coke, and then you give me the sweet and sour with the tequila. You're like, no, this is what you're having. This is this is what we sell here. You know, that wouldn't work.
And sometimes that happens, but
Yeah.
sometimes that happens. And I think of the best bartenders that I've ever experienced, and waiters are the ones that can give you a strong recommendation. So they might say like, "Hey Jerry, I see you're in your Hennessy shirt.
Yeah.
Are you a cognac drinker?" And you're like, "Yeah, I normally like Henny and Coke." Okay, cool. But have you ever tried a Brandy Cresta? Because that's a cognac based cocktail. If you don't like it, we can go right back to your normal, your Henny and Coke. And I think our team has gotten really good about paying attention, asking the right questions, and being able to make a strong recommendation. If you're a good salesperson, I'm going to take your recommendation just out of respect for the fact that you sold me on it.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that, like, yeah, I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
That's true.
They have to get a different cocktail.
So exactly. So my fiance, she likes the sweet drinks, and
Mm.
me personally, I'm not really I don't like the sweet stuff. So when she asks me like what drink is good, I usually ask the people working there like, hey, I'm not really, I'm not really the type of guy that drinks sweet stuff. I'll usually just take whiskey and Coke, or the Henny and Coke, and I'll ask them like, what do you recommend? And then sometimes, they'll show me like, oh, these four right here are some of our sweeter stuff. This is the popular one, or this is one that like a lot of girls like, or something. And then we'll go from there. And then usually they're still too strong for her, so it doesn't matter.
Well, it sounds like you'll save a lot of money when I mean, it sounds like you've got a great fiance. You're going
Yeah.
to save a lot of money on on heavy drinks. But it's all about balance, because sometimes, I have cocktails and, I just really want it because I like the taste. It's not about, something being super strong or super sweet. If it's balanced, and especially when we're talking about sweeteners, I mean, there's a huge difference, when you're eating a pack of Starburst versus, when you're having, fresh cherries and strawberries. I mean, there's different levels of sweetness. But our team is really good about balancing that out with acidics like, lemons and limes and things like that. But it sounds like you got to do a little bit more research so you can make sure your fiance, you got to do a little bit of work.
No, that's
You got to
true.
figure this out, Jerry.
I gotta. Well, yeah, because my bank account. I ordered like 3 drinks,
Yeah.
and then I'm the
Well,
one that's
yes, and they
chugging them.
say, yeah. And what do they say? Happy wife, happy life. So, you've got some time because she's your fiance now, but you've got some time to kind of master the cocktail. But yeah, it sounds like you're pretty consistent with your cognacs and your Cokes.
Yeah.
But yeah, challenge you. I challenge you, Jerry, when you go out the next time, you and your girlfriend, stick to your spirit of choice. Stick to cognac if you'd like. But I would, try to get a cocktail. Start there and then go back to your norm. I always tell people just try one. You never know.
Yeah. Well, I was telling you earlier before the podcast that I worked at a bar slash club slash casino, and sometimes someone would order a drink and they didn't want it, or they were too drunk. Like that rarely happened, but or some
Hmm.
coworker would buy it for me, or I'd be like, "Oh, what's that you're drinking?" I'd look at it, and then they'd be like,
Hmm.
"Oh, let me order you one." So I tried different ones like that, but I mean, I don't mind finding different drinks, and I'm not like that stereotypical guy where like, "Oh, I can't drink that. It's pink," like. I'll drink it, but most times it's just I prefer something else.
Yeah. Tonight, I just made something simple. Just because, sometimes you just want something clean, you don't want a lot of extra stuff. So I just did today, I had like this grapefruit club soda, pomegranate juice, lemon, and tequila. So just simple. But I just like really clean cocktails. I'm not big on the sugars.
Yeah.
Um, The artificial sugars I don't like at all. And if I am doing anything sweet, I'll, add like agave or honey. Try to stay away from all that. But, that whole saying, like, you can't get high on your own supply too. So, we gotta, we gotta watch our habits, right?
Yeah,
So when
exactly.
I first opened up, I like champagne and I like high end champagne. Um, and I was quickly learning that, um, it tastes different when you bought it.
No, that's true. Yeah.
It tastes a little different.
You
And
could
so
taste the
I
money, huh?
have you can, and you can taste the waste of it. And now I tell our team, I'm like, oh no, don't use the good stuff on me. Like, I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
don't worry about it. But I think that also comes with like an understanding different products too. Um, there are some really, really great companies out there putting out great products that aren't the big retail names that you hear all the time. Some of my favorite rums and tequilas aren't household names. And I think that's really cool. But at the same time, I understand that the type of business that I'm in, it's always good to have all the big dogs, the Patrons, the Don Julios.
Yeah.
You've got to have those, and they're quality products. But they also have so much behind them in marketing. They've got, the influencers, they've got celebrity ambassadors and,
Like, you remember Ciroc?
endorsements. Very much so. But Ciroc, I mean, that they're a beast in itself. I mean, they have, what they've done is they've created like a cultural platform too.
Yeah.
Most vodka is vodka
Yeah,
to me at this
that's where
point.
I was getting at too. Yeah.
I mean, there's great vodkas, all over the place. But when you think about the way that they branded it, when you think about, how they're speaking to us, they're speaking to people that look like you and I, in our age group. I think that's really cool. And so I think that's why they've had a lot of success, because they've made it cool.
Yeah.
And most of the big liquor brands that that I think are doing the best, because they've made it really cool to drink.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's the packaging, whether it's the promo materials, or just seeing your favorite artists. That doesn't really work for me.
Yeah, I get it.
But I understand the power of branding, and I understand the power of marketing. And so, yeah, Ciroc, they do an excellent job.
Yeah. This is kind of a little off topic, but it reminds me of like the Beats, the headphones. You
Oh, yes,
remember how they were like super popular? Like, I mean, I'm sure they still are, but
absolutely.
not as bad as when they first came out. Like every athlete had them. They were in like music videos. They were in every commercial. Like they showed like famous people wearing them for the same reason that you said, is like this person's wearing it and they're important. So if you wear it, you're important. Or if you want to be the life of the party,
Exactly.
then drink this liquor because everyone likes it.
And that's what we see. I mean, if you think about like Bel Air, um, champagne and rosé, like Rick Ross drank it. So like everyone started buying that. I mean, it wasn't even like a popular thing to see men in a club or a bar with anything pink in a champagne flute. That just wasn't like the norm to
Yeah.
see. Um, and they normalized it and they made it cool. I mean, even what Jay-Z has done with Ace of Spades. I mean, it's cool to drink champagne. It's not just a drink that women drink. It's not just something that we have when we're celebrating. So all that branding and that marketing is so genius the way they've done it. Um, and I think that also, if you think about culturally how people drink, I think that if we peel back those layers, we see how intentional the marketing is. When we talk about these, I think that it's marketed a certain way. And when we talk about tequilas, it's marketed a whole different way. So they're paying attention. They're very intentional with their price points.
It's crazy. It's like they
And also,
sorry. It's kind of like they pay people a lot of money to figure out what entices people, huh?
oh, they do. They absolutely do. But you know what? It's all part of the game. I'm excited to be a part of it too.
Yeah.
It's easy. It's an easy sell. It's an easy sell. Especially, I mean, Las Vegas is an entertainment capital world. So a lot of these brands, they spend a lot of money in this town. Um, everything from, billboards and advertisement and just like some of the biggest that they host and do. So, to be able to kind of see the range of it. Um, a lot of places it's just, you see them sitting on the shelves at your local bar, but here I see them hosting big festivals. I mean, the money that they have to get the job done is very impressive.
Yeah. Well, Vegas is all showboating and all promotion, and the bigger the better. So that, I mean, that's one reason I like to go to I like to
Hmm.
go to Vegas, is because every once in a while, you do like to do like big things and have a good time. So I like it. I like that aspect. Um, how did you promote yourself or the Classic Jewel when you first started, and compared to now, I guess?
Well, there was a lot of Facebook ads
Yeah.
being run in the beginning.
Do those work?
Um, we did mailers, so like they do work. They do work. I think it's important to do like the geotagging and like figure out like based on like your location, to like a 5-10 mile radius. It's always good to go for like the low hanging fruit. There's so many bars and restaurants, so you don't want to compete so much because there's just there's a lot of options. But I think we've done a good job of occupying like this lane, and then just doing it in a very intentional way. So we knew that we wanted to cater to people that didn't always feel catered to. We wanted to talk to Vegas locals. We wanted to, we wanted people that lived downtown to feel like they had a community bar, that they didn't have to share it with a bunch of tourists, or didn't have to be on the strip and you have to walk through a casino to get there. We're smoke free. I mean, we do, well, we have hookah, but
Yeah.
we don't allow smoke. I know that's kind of different, right? But
Yeah.
it's a difference. Cigarette smoke is
It,
different.
it's it's
Hookah's more of like
different because
social.
they can't bring the cigarettes there. You bring them the the hookah, right?
Very true, true, and it smells a little bit different.
Yeah.
It smells different. But I think it's good to find that lane that works for you and occupy that lane. And in Las Vegas, like when we were marketing, it was just like, well, we can't market like everyone else because there's plenty of options. So we went after all the high rises. We sent out mailers, like just like the postcards and things like that. We've done radio ads, TV ads. But I think the biggest marketing right now is all organic. I don't believe we're spending any money currently on marketing, and I think that just shows after 5 years of consistency. Um, you know, the community will embrace you, and I think that we've kind of become a little bit of a household name within our community.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to spend the money on marketing. And, I'm sure we will when things get back to normal. But it's really nice that the community is continuing. They're always asking us to be, to do things like this podcast, news segments. I've been, doing different type of, interviews with local publications. And so that is the best form of advertisement because there's credibility there. I
Oh yeah.
don't have to say like, yeah, it's credibility. And so I would much rather read an article that's coming from someone else saying how great we are than me paying for an ad telling people how great we are. So that's the biggest change.
So pretty much your guys' your product and your business speaks for itself now, right?
Yes,
Okay.
I'd say.
That's pretty cool. And I like asking that question too, because let's just say someone's watching this and they just started their business or they're thinking about starting it, and like you said at the beginning, you did promote yourselves, but now you've gotten so much bigger that you don't really have to promote yourselves as much or spend money doing it. And I feel like that's pretty good inspiration for someone like, yeah, you know what, I do got to spend a little bit of money now, but once I maybe get some regulars or loyal customers, then they could start spreading the word and saying how great we are. So
Absolutely. And that's what you want. You want kind of built-in ambassadors. You want people to talk about how great of a time that they had at Classic Jewel, or, our team was like the best, or, we want that kind of energy out there. And just because I feel like people work so much harder for you when they buy into who you are as a person. And so I think that, with myself and my partners, I think that we've done a good job of kind of showing the community who we are too. And so, when people are making the decision to buy, a martini from us or a martini, from a neighboring bar, you know, two great martinis, right?
Yeah.
But if they know it's coming from people that care about them and appreciate their dollars, I think that that kind of is what sways that energy. So I think that we've done a good job of transitioning, but we'll always continue to pour into the business, and that will, require more marketing. It will just look a little bit different in the future.
I like how you said you'll pour into the business. I'm sure that wasn't intentional, but it works pretty good.
Well, you know what? I see what you did there, Jerry. I just see what
I
you
didn't
did
do it. You
there.
did it. Don't say
I
it was
didn't even realize.
me.
I didn't even
see,
realize.
see, it's just all natural that like you're like just going and promoting it without even knowing. But yeah, it is true too. I appreciate you like letting your customers know, even if one of them's watching this, that's great. But letting them know that they are appreciated, because like you said, you can get the same drink, same price, two different environments. At one, you might feel like not welcome there, or like you might feel like your money wasn't appreciated as much. I told you I lived in Salinas. It's about an hour and a half from Oakland. uh, a lot of times when I order food, or like I go to the retail stores to buy clothes or something, they don't smile, and they're always kind of mean mugging me when like I order something, and
Yeah, and you don't want to give them your money. You're like, gosh, but I really want this. But
yeah,
you're like, well, I don't want to support this company, or I don't want to put money in this sales, give this salesman commission
yeah,
because they made my experience horrible. So but I feel like unfortunately we've just seen so much of that. And in Las Vegas, most places cater to tourists. And I don't blame them. I mean, that's the majority of where the money comes in. But right now, I mean, when you're looking around and casinos are just now starting to open back up, I think it just goes to show, don't take people for granted.
yeah,
Don't take your customers for granted. Don't take Las Vegas locals for granted. Um, and I grew up out in Las Vegas. And so I remember a time when my parents would go out to like the different fights
oh
and
nice,
like the boxing. This one
yeah,
boxing was like before MMA and all that. And they would go out and, they'd do a little gambling. Then they'd end up having like a comped room or a comped meal, because I felt like Las Vegas was more for like locals.
yeah,
And like it was nice to see tourists. I mean, our city's built off of it, and I'll never take any of that for granted. But there's something different about being able to feel comfortable in your hometown, to feel that sense of love there, where you're like, okay, well, I don't mind spending my dollars with MGM or Caesars Entertainment, because I know that they are catering to me. Sometimes, and I think that I've had some of the worst service being on the strip. And I think it's because they're like, well, I might not ever see you again.
yeah,
And that mentality is just not carried in small businesses. When, you're a small business and you are catering to the locals in your community, they'll be back, and you want to like leave a lasting impression. When you're on the strip, whether you're a local or not, they don't know that half the time.
yeah,
So sometimes, you get the feeling of like they're going to get their 20% automatic gratuity. You know, I'm not going to be able to make any substitutions, and they're never going to, and they probably feel they'll never see me again, because most of the people that they serve throughout the day are tourists.
yeah,
And tourists are a lot. I don't, I think that they go through so much on the strip, people that are in the service industry, because sometimes people come to Las Vegas and they act a fool.
yeah. Well, that's
They
putting
come
it
here to
lightly.
act a
Yeah, that's
fool.
putting it lightly
That's why they
too.
came here. So I don't blame, the service industry is not easy, and so I understand where some of that comes from. But I always want to make sure that we put locals first. That's just the way it goes, like in
Um,
your hometown, they should
a,
put you first.
a quick break, a quick cut in, real quick. Do you guys get a lot of tips in Vegas, like over there at your bar?
Our team does really well. And I think, like I said, I think it goes to customer service, and we're flexible. We're willing to say, like, we don't have this product. But you know what? I noticed that you moved into the building. I'll let Ryan know, so we'll start ordering it. Or it's I noticed that you've been coming in here every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Did you know that if you just come at 9 o'clock, that's when the live band starts? So I think that we just have to be a lot more intentional with our touches with people.
Yeah.
um, I think that that's what makes the difference, and our staff has done a really good job of making things personable for people, and I think that that's why they do well when it comes to tips. I always say you can always show a little bit of extra love if you feel that you've had great service. We also love Yelp reviews
Yeah.
and positive Google reviews and things like that. But I think good tips comes with good service, and I think that this is a tipping town. You
Okay.
may be able to get away with it in other cities, but in Las Vegas, there's a certain culture. So I think that sometimes it's almost like being in Europe. I travel pretty often, and I've learned that in my travels that everyone has a different standard when it comes to gratuity. Sometimes it's not personal. Sometimes that's just culturally, where things are set up. And so being in Las Vegas, we get people from all over the world that come here. So it's just kind of, not taking things personal and still always trying to put forth the best service.
Um, I remember. So I was at the Hakusan one time. For the people that don't know about Las Vegas, the Hakusan is at the MGM. Everyone that's watching live, actually, go ahead and type in whether you've been to Las Vegas or whether you're in Las Vegas. And if you guys are drinking something, type in what you're drinking. I want you guys involved and having a good time too. Um, I remember I tipped there's a guy in the restroom, he gives you like mints, he sprays you with cologne or whatever. I remember
Right.
I tipped him $5, just like, oh, here, like you're chilling in here, everyone's out there having a good time, like here's some money, like it must kind of it must be like it kind of sucks, like everyone's having fun and you're chilling in here. And then I remember I went back in and like when I went in there, he's like, oh hey, how you doing? He's all, you need a washcloth? He's all, I got some mints. I was like, yeah, let me get another mint. And like he was super happy, so I was like, do they tip him a lot? Like, am I supposed to do that? Is that weird?
Well, and it probably did more for you than it did for him,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you get the feeling of like I was able to like, be empathetic. You're like, we're having a bomb time. He's in here. What's $5? Showing a little love to someone. So I think that when we're generous, we get so much more out of it than, what we put out there. And, you know, I mean, money is something we all need, of course.
Yeah.
But it's just currency. It's just kind of showing either our level of respect or appreciation for something or someone. So I kind of feel like that was just like a really dope gesture. Um,
Yeah.
and it did, like I said, I think it probably did more for you
Yeah,
than it
yeah.
even
Like I
did
said,
for me.
he brought me like a fresh hand towel, like not the paper towels, like a cloth one, like every time. And I was like, oh, how's it? I was like, no, I was
And
like,
you felt good about it,
yeah,
right? You probably could have gone to the bathroom about 10 times and you would have had the same experience because you just showed him love in the beginning,
yeah,
And I think it's the little things, like the little things go such a long way. But yeah, so I'm glad you did that. That's good. We need a lot more people taking care of our folks in the service industry.
yeah. And at that bar there, I ordered two drinks too, and it came out to like $40 for the two drinks. What did I get? I got some gin and lemonade, and I got my fiance. I don't even remember what I got her, but I ended up like they're like, oh, your total's $40 for like the two drinks, and I was like,
Mhm.
what? I was like, it's my birthday.
So the little sticker. Well, you know what?
and then,
That's you're on the strip. That's
yeah,
that's kind of how it goes.
and then I
Um,
tipped him an extra $10 too. So like it hurt me. I'm not gonna lie.
but there's also I feel like and people, this may not be popular, but I will say this. When we choose to eat and drink outside of our homes, we're there for the experience, and I do think that there's a certain level of like kind of pay to play energy that you have to think about. I don't think you have to, but you should. I mean, you're expecting a different experience. That's why you're eating and drinking out and not in your home. And so with those people that are enhancing your experience and making it better, like that's kind of where that comes into play. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with a little pay to play energy. And even, you taking care of your bartenders, even though that the price point wasn't as desirable for you, it's kind of like, well, you knew what the cost was when
Yeah.
when you left the house.
Yeah, no, that's true.
you know
And then like
that's
you
when you go to happy hour instead.
yeah. Well, I pre-gamed too, so it was okay.
Exactly, it's balance.
And
It's
I
all
just
about balance.
it's just at the same time like you said, you're in a place where, like you said, the strip obviously is going to be expensive, and you're there, you're at a place, if you're vacationing, people go there like to be flashy, to be, like,
Hmm.
oh, I'm like, I'm pretty good, I'm well off. And like you said, part of showing off like that is actually doing it. So
Yeah, Vegas. I mean, Vegas is a stunt. I mean, that's like people come out here to do that, and I don't see anything wrong with that. I am more kind of like a local bar type of gal. When I lived in different cities, like I always like dive bars. Just kind of like hole in the walls. I always had, I always knew the happy hours, the reverse happy hours. Like I was just always one of those. Um, but I think that when I travel, it's a whole different energy. When I'm traveling, I'm looking, to get a nice bottle of champagne or maybe drink that top shelf tequila that I normally am a little bit too frugal to purchase. So I think that like when we're putting on our good shoes and our nice clothes, like,
yeah.
we're paying a tax. We're paying a little bit of a tax, but that's what we're out for. We're out to kind of be seen or, to be on a date or whatever that looks like for you. But um I always just tell people like don't take it personal. I moved here from New York. So when I first moved there, I just felt like moving from Atlanta to New York City, I was like, wow, everything is so expensive, because I went from going to the South where I felt like things were a lot more affordable, and then the sticker shock of New York. But the cost of living is a lot higher too. So I think when you think about Las Vegas, you have to kind of think of like, this is people's bread and butter here. Most people that live out here, that work out here, they've got some relative, if it's not themselves, that works in hospitality. So, I just kind of think that it's just one of those industries that when you come to Vegas, like, you got to pay to play a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree definitely. And I remember I went to it was Dre's nightclub. Gucci Mane was there. This was probably like, it's probably a year, going on 2 years now. He was there at the nightclub. Um, I was in line. The lines are long. They're freaking huge.
Yes.
So I was like in the middle of the line, and when I say middle, like that's a long line. And the guy, the bouncer, or the guy that controls the line, he said, "Does anybody want to cut in line?" And like I looked around and no one raised their hand or anything, so I was like, "Hey, I'm down." Like,
Was it a trick question?
no, he's like, "All right, it's $20 per person, to go to the front of the line." And I looked at my fiance and I looked at me and I was like, "All right, yeah, I'm down $40 to actually get in. That sounds good."
Right.
And so I paid 40
Now
bucks.
that sounds a little funny, but
Hey, I don't know. They were all as funny as it sounds. It was cool with me.
yeah, I mean, and I've taken advantage of those situations. But as a bar and lounge owner, you feel kind of like, well, I don't want people being taxed extra,
Yeah.
because the way I look at it, it's like, okay, well, you spent that $40 to cut the line, and granted, it was like worth it for you. But as a business owner, I'm thinking, well, that's $40 that could have been spent at the bar, because
Yeah.
something tells me that he probably pocketed that $40, because
Probably.
that's usually not how it works. But you know what? It's a Vegas is a different beast. I think when we go out, I think you kind of expect some of that. But like I have such a different energy about it now. I used to like when I got free drinks when I go out. I used to like that. Now I'm like, this isn't right. It's not yours to give away.
Yeah.
Like I feel differently than I felt um as someone that just like enjoyed getting out. Now I take things a little personal.
Do you
Like I don't want anything free. I don't want anything free because I know that it was probably not the person that gave it to me. It probably was not theirs to give away.
Yeah.
Like that gentleman that let you guys cut the line, like that was cool. but that wasn't even his $40 to pocket. So,
Yeah,
not to be such a square, but I've definitely changed.
okay. I didn't say the name of the place, and I'm sorry. You're gonna.
Oh no, no, we won't leave any details. We want
No.
everyone to stay employed. But if I'm being totally
No,
honest,
I
like
get it.
I used to love a hookup. Now I'm like, no,
No,
because it's gonna cost me.
I get it too. Like at my house, I might have like, okay, so I like whiskey, right? So let's just say I have, well, we're talking about Hennessy. So I have Hennessy, right? I'll give people Hennessy when they're at my house. And let's just say I have the, what is it, the Hennessy privilege, the next one up, or
Hmm. Hmm.
I'll keep that for myself, and I'll make myself drinks with that when I'm alone, and then give everyone else Hennessy. It'd be like if someone was at my house and they just like reached into my cupboard and started giving them my expensive drinks,
Right.
like I'd be like,
It's
wait a
not yours
minute.
to give away.
Yeah.
Right. And it's crazy because you're just like, where is this normal?
Yeah.
Like, in what other industry would this really work in? Like, and it's almost done like, oh, oh, I'm just taking care of you. Like, I put a little extra in here for you. It's like, but you didn't buy them a drink. I bought them that drink
Yeah.
now, and so it changes the energy. And I can't speak for all bar owners, but I can just speak for myself. And whenever I go out and someone takes care of me, in my mind, I'm thinking, I know you just want a bigger tip.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I feel obligated to do this because now you've risked your job to give me something for free that I did not ask for. So yeah, we all like free stuff,
Yeah.
we do.
I might go there again, but
But
I'm not
I
gonna
know
lie.
you're right. And I hope that you do. I hope
Yeah.
that you do. But like little guys like us, the small businesses, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. Um, Everything is accounted for. It's not like these big companies where it's like, you go to these huge warehouses or they've got, big freights of, crates of alcohol and they don't notice the difference. If a bottle's missing, I know the difference
Yeah.
because at 6 a.m., I'm down there, looking through, how things were the night before. Um, I'm one of those people that's just, and I think it's also because I live in the building as well. I like to see what happened, like I like to look at the numbers, but I like to also I like to see, I like to see how many bottles are left and I need to know that. But a lot of these big companies, we're talking pallets, pallets of bottles, I'm working with dozens at a time. So it's a
Oh,
lot easier to keep account of.
it's you know how I told you I was security? Uh, I
Mhm.
would stock the bar. I would bring them, I'd bring them their bottles, and I was in charge of doing that whenever I had free time, or like when they tell me, hey, we're gonna be running low soon, maybe bring some behind the shelf. So
That's a good idea. I need to probably do that. I didn't think about that in terms of getting security involved in that way, but that's a pretty good idea.
yeah, well, if you could trust your security, I guess. Well, we handled a lot of
Well, I
money
mean,
too.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean, there's got to be that. I mean, I trust everyone on our team.
yeah,
Trust and verify.
yeah,
Trust and verify. But no, I mean, if it's someone that's like the first line, I mean, you've got to trust them if they're checking IDs, if they're if they're paying, a cover to that person. Um, they're really like securing the property. They're securing the business when we're busiest. So there definitely is already a level of trust there. So yeah, I might have to look into that.
and then too, when like all the bartenders are busy, like they're each with the customer, and you have multiple drinks, you guys are running around so much, like obviously I have to take care of what's happening, but if I can go down real quick and get something or change the keg real quick, then I
Right.
would go ahead and do that too because I understand like you guys are running around.
Yeah. So were you did you work directly with the establishment or were you part of a security company that they hired out?
I worked directly with the establishment. It was like a casino. They didn't have like slots or anything. It was just the table cards. So
Mm,
it wasn't the biggest. It wasn't the biggest casino, but it was
still
tiny.
casino.
Yeah, I would say there was probably about three or four security guards, two mostly at a time. On the weekends, there'd be all of us. Only during big events there'd be extra security. We'd hire like the sheriffs or something to come help. But that's why when you said I
Yeah.
went down there I'd go down there and I count the inventory. That was literally my job. I'd go down there to like that's where the office was, and they
Okay.
had their bottles down there too. So I was laughing because I can relate to that.
Yeah, you remember those days. Yeah. But even with what you're doing now, I mean, like, not to flip the questions on you, but like this election and everything, I mean, the post office, like, the heck?
Yeah.
like,
I
like, since when are we going after postal workers? Like, things are crazy.
I was gonna say we're well. I can vouch for myself. I can't vouch for everyone. I know that sounds sketchy how I say it like that, but it's really not. A lot of us, a lot of us at the post office, we're just trying to get you guys your mail to you guys, and we're just trying to like get it out to where it needs to go. Um,
Yeah. Well, just with the election and with people, like, it's like precious cargo, right?
yeah.
Like, all these ballot drop offs, ballot,
So
all of that. That's kind of what I mean in that sense.
yeah.
It's so different now.
So there's a ballot box. I work at a small post office. I work at a big one too, but that's only when they need help. I'll go help them. But the small post office I work at, like our doors here, not even like on the other side of the parking lot, they'll have a ballot box so people could drive through and just drop it off. And
Hmm.
I have a when they give me the ballots, they're like, "Oh, is it okay for me to give this to you?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, it's fine." You know, I'm like, "It's probably safer for you to give it to me." I'm like, "I'm someone that's actually watching it out there. It's just a box by itself."
Exactly.
And they're like, "Oh, well, you're the federal
Exactly.
government. How can I trust you?" I'm like, "All right, you know what? Just go out there, bro. Like, I don't want to hear."
I'm just trying to help you,
Yeah,
right?
it's like
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
want
but
no negativity. Like, I don't because if someone hears that, like standing behind them, they're gonna be like, "Oh, how can you know? Maybe we can't trust them." And
right, right. Yeah, it's so crazy that these are even questions when
yeah,
we've been trusting the postal service for so long, with everything, Um, but yeah, we're just living in different times.
did you
We're in very different times.
what were those checks that they gave out? The $1,200 checks? I forgot what they're called, but the stimulus checks. Did you receive one of those?
Hmm. So I did apply for grants for our business and did receive two grants, not any loans. Which I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Um, I'm good with that because loans you got to pay back, and I almost like the fact that I was kind of forced to look into our finances and think about things long term as opposed to just saying like, well, let's just get another loan.
So
I
it's
will say that
instead of
it
oh
requires.
sorry. So instead of like so let's just saying hey before this I'm not saying you guys were but like someone saying like we're barely making it by every dollar we have so we have to get a loan. The person could stop and be like, well, what am I doing wrong or what can I do to not have to worry about borrowing money from someone else in case this goes to happen again or something.
Yeah, I mean, well, no one could really prepare for this, and everyone's business was at like a different stage, and so I don't ever want to come across like, oh, we didn't have to do this or anything like that because that could change at any moment. And applying for grants is something that, I just felt like I needed to do that. I felt that in order to keep our doors open, for our team, for myself, my partners, for our community, um, that you had to do the work in and make put the work in and apply for these grants and kind of keep your ear to the street and knowing what opportunities were out there. So I think being aware of your resources is like extremely important. As a small business owner, I've been able to, I don't know, I feel like a sense of empowerment to understand like these are the resources that are for us. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's not anything negative at all. There are grants that go out all the time. I think it was just a little bit unique because everyone needed it. I mean, there wasn't an industry that, was in a position where, no one was, everyone was looking for some type of help. Um, my biggest, I guess this is the biggest thing that has come out of all of this for me is understanding like how to apply for these grants, understanding the SBA resources. I started a consulting company because there were a lot of small business owners that didn't know how to navigate through this process, or even like aspiring business owners. If our backs weren't against the wall, I would have not learned everything that I know now. And I think that as a business owner, that's the responsible thing to do. if you have the opportunity to make sure that you can continue to grow, or make sure you keep your team in place, or invest, like you mentioned before, before we started, whether it's in renovations or making the place safer, excuse me, with, PPE and things like that. I just think that like the responsible thing is to do the work and learn, if you can't just like come out and write a check.
Okay. And so since you said you learned some, you had to learn new ways to do that, and then you had to look at you had to look at your business as I guess from a different, a different perspective.
Hmm.
Um, how did a work day used to look like, or compared to now, or a work week? Because I guess every day might be different for your career. But what does a work week normally look like for you?
Every day kind of is different, but it's a good thing. So there are certain days that I have aside for, payroll, certain days that I set aside for like some of my distributors, whether it's taking meetings to try out new products, or it's figuring out, how we can push other products. Certain days of the week, I place different orders and I have different deliveries come in. So I feel that, and also certain nights require a different type of team. So we're at the point now where we've gotten so much busier, to where my days pretty much start at 5 a.m. I go through the numbers of the night before. That's like my favorite thing to do when I first wake up.
Wow.
So that happens from about like, well, I mean, to me, it's uninterrupted time, and I'm not distracted to where I'm looking at like anything in real time. I know the bar is empty. I know that, all the tabs are closed out. It just, to me, it's kind of like that time for me. It's like when I sit and read the paper, it's kind of like one of those, um, something I do every day. Go through the numbers,
Hold on,
usually
you're
about
cutting out real quick.
5, around 6 o'clock.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. So you were saying you go through the papers and then around 6 o'clock?
No,
Huh.
it's okay. We have a cleaning company. I'm going to pause just for a second.
Oh no, that's fine.
Okay. So yeah, five. Okay. So around 5, I go through the numbers. 6 o'clock, we have a cleaning company that comes in, and that's usually the time where I go through the receipts. I go through some of the inventory from the night before, just kind of seeing like what happened on, and that's pretty much specific to the night before. From there, it's like, any emails and just different things like that. I mean, I pretty much, my workday is very different from our team. I'm not so much of interacting with the customers anymore. Um, a lot of bills to pay.
Yeah, I bet.
um, that seems like that takes up the majority of my time. But a lot of it is thinking about, how do I connect with other business owners? How do I continue to get Classic Jewel out there to other people? Talking to people like you, and promoting, not only our business, but also um, just our industry. I think people need to hear a lot more from people that look like me, that are young in this space. So as we've gotten older, and our business is a lot more, it's just running a lot smoother. It's freed up a lot more of my time, and I'm able to lean on our team to kind of run the day to day, once that open sign's on. But prior to that, there's a lot of running around, picking things up, a lot of putting out fires. In this industry, there's always a lot of fires to put out,
Yeah, not
because
literal
alcohol is
fires, right?
involved. Not, no literal fires, but when alcohol is involved, and when you're in a late night industry, there's always something. Whether it's staffing, that's always tough, and not because we don't have a great team, but it's just one of those industries that it is high turnover. Um, so I think that the majority of my time, and I think most business owners would say this, is kind of like recovering all the fumbles that happened maybe the night before. Um, and I like that position. I like that. I think I was using my time very poorly in the beginning, because we wanted to do everything ourselves, and we wanted to save money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I did our website. I used to do all of like our flyers. I mean, I just would learn how to do things because I just didn't want to spend the money. And now it's great to go to the professionals and spend time with them, whether I'm learning how to do it or I'm just trying to figure out like how do we make our space better. Um, I'd like to open up another business. Being at this 5-year mark, I feel like now is the time to really try to push that. COVID had different plans, so it's taking a little bit longer. Um, but no, I mean, I can't say that any of my days are the same other than that like 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. window. Everything outside of that changes. At 4 p.m. every day we open. So that's pretty much when I just pass the baton off to our team and they tap in with me as needed. But we're kind of running like a machine now.
Um, so a quick summary of that. Pretty much, you have like some supervisors or some managers that help run your crew.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
and then you have the bartenders or the other people that work I'm not gonna say under them. That sounds kind of messed up, but
We just have like leads. We have
yeah,
more like leads and like managers. And I don't think it's definitely not anything bad to say that they work under them. It's just more the leadership because a lot of people in this industry, they don't want the extra responsibilities.
yeah,
They want to come in, make their drinks, get their tips. And I've been that person before. So I'm not, no shade at all. But there are other people that want to go and sit through with me and go over some of the sales goals, that want to spend time meeting with different reps
yeah.
I mean, it's a different team. And, I think they're both great. I think just knowing yourself and knowing what role you want to play. I'm thankful that our team, has, everyone on our team has the ability to run the show.
Yeah, so
And I think that's really important.
you don't gotta worry about leaving someone by themselves to run the ship, which helps you out immensely,
Exactly.
right? Yeah,
Oh my gosh, so much. And that was the whole point, right? In entrepreneurship for me, it was not to hover over my business. It was to open up this business and then continue to open up businesses. And that's just like, like I said before, I am not a bartender. I'm an entrepreneur, and one's not better than the other. I've just found my space in the fact that I like to see things through from beginning to end. And I'm ready to kind of start over and do it again. Some people would be like, oh, I'm comfortable. This feels good.
yeah.
Why add any more to it? But for me, it's kind of like now I'm ready to do it again and do it better because I feel like I've learned so much. I've learned how to save a lot more money. In the beginning, when you do things on your own, sometimes you have to pay to get things done twice, sometimes 3 times.
Or you buy a bunch of lemons. Yeah,
When all you needed was limes,
yeah.
I mean, and there have been days, honestly, Dre, that I have found myself like on wild goose chases, and I look up and I'm like, this was not the best use of my time. So as a business owner, I have to be really responsible in how I think about my team and how I have to rely on them because it does not serve them if I'm alongside of them doing their job with me. It serves them when I do what I need to do to give them the tools to do their job successfully. And then I move on to the next thing. So that way we're able to generate more, whether it's, more free marketing, or whether it's just making sure that we're constantly always putting back into our business.
Or just even making just the whole environment just a professional place where they can be comfortable and they can just get their full potential as well, right? Yeah,
Absolutely. And, I think also, when you think about the role that you play, I think about when, before I was a small business owner, I would think about things like more, I guess, micro.
yeah.
And I think about it on like a macro scale. Like I think about, how do I say? So I think
You kind of look at the bigger
more
picture, maybe.
so, yeah, I do because it doesn't benefit me to worry about the little things. Like that's
Yeah,
not my job anymore. And it's almost like you have to let go. And in the beginning, like I wanted to do everything myself, not because I wanted to do everything myself, but because I didn't have the trust there. But the more I'm realizing it's like we've got a team that knows how to do these things better than I do. That's the role that I play in putting that team together. and being able to continue to grow with the team. So I think that now I've kind of gotten a hang of it. But before, yeah,
Yeah, you're
before, I mean, I'm talking like 10, 20 hours on like trying to learn how to do a website when, just hire the right people to do it. I mean, they're the professionals for a reason.
yeah.
I just thought that I could be a professional in everything. And yeah, not that's the advice that I would give to aspiring entrepreneurs. I would say lean on the professionals, allow people to help you because it's going to come at a cost,
Yeah.
at some point. You're either going to pay it up front or you're going to pay it on the back end.
So let's just take as an example. So let's just say you said 10 to 20 hours you were trying to design your website, right?
Yeah, just for an
Obviously,
example.
yeah. I'm not saying it did take that long or not, but so what? Let's just say that's you make about this, like I said, an example, $30 the hour, right? So
Hmm.
so that's what, like $600. Let's just say that of time you waste. Well, not you specifically. I'm not trying to talk down on you,
No, it's
but
okay.
it's like
Most wasted time.
so like and then my math might be bad too. So let's just say that was $600 of wasted time when you could have just paid a professional to do it for like $300. Maybe it would have taken like 3 days. They would have got back to you, and then so those 3 days, that's 3 days of wasted time, and then that's 3 days you could have been making more money as well as that bringing you money. So is that kind of like what you're
Exactly.
trying to get at too?
That's exactly what I'm saying. And also, I mean, by trying to be the bartender, bar manager, web designer, social media manager. I mean, when we
Entertainer.
take,
Yeah.
yeah, all those things, security, plumbing, I mean, whatever. I think that it's just not a good use of our time.
Yeah.
And, I got to the point where like I would be sensitive about things. Like for example, like let's just say I did like a flyer or something,
Yeah.
years ago. Let's just say I made it. And, you know, someone would be like, I don't know, someone would have like a creative, criticism. That's just not me.
Yeah.
And I need to not find myself in those spaces because what it does is it puts you in kind of a sensitive space when, my job is to make sure that things are run the right way. It's not for me to take things so personally. So I had to change with that. And then I also had to, like what you were mentioning before, thinking about things bigger picture. I would take it so personally when people would ask, like, so what's the best night to come? And I'm like, every night that you're willing to spend money
Yeah.
at our establishment is the best night to come. So I was kind of all over the place in like my emotions. I was just, as an entrepreneur, like this is your baby. Any criticism, like I would stay up reading Yelp reviews and Google reviews, and you just internalize all of that. And then, I just had to kind of find peace in the fact that like at the end of the day, I used my time wisely. Or at the end of the day, I leaned on people that I trust. So I feel like you just kind of have to find your balance in that. And just not take things personal. Like I'm not the best at everything. I'm not the best at a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say so like you said, it's hard not to take it personal because technically it kind of is a piece of you because you put in all that work to make it. You put in all that thought. So as I'm sure, like in a certain way, you kind of feel like it's an extension of you in some way, right?
absolutely. I mean, there's literal blood, sweat, and tears, literal,
Yeah.
and a lot of them. And, there's these moments that you're just like, this is for entertainment.
Yeah.
And you have to remind yourself that I didn't go to medical school for a reason. I'm not in the business of saving lives. I don't need to apply that pressure. But at the same time, you think about, I relocated to Las Vegas. I had a whole career and a life in New York. Um, to live in the building that my business is in. So that's come with a lot of sacrifice. I'm not married. I don't have children. I think that some of those late nights, and I'm 34 years old, so I think I have kind of a non-traditional lifestyle, I'd say. So I think that comes with sacrifice too. I have great support system in my family, But, I also work with family. So, I feel like we've made a lot of sacrifices. Um, sleep,
Yeah.
a lot of sleep sacrifice.
5
So
a.m. in
you
the
just
morning,
take
right?
a
Yeah.
lot of, right. And sometimes, it's staying till, midnight or 2 a.m. But I think the biggest thing at the end of the day is just knowing that um it's just more it's so much bigger than that. And I don't think that I ever would have imagined that the community would have required us to double in size to host different events. I mean, we had Vice President Joe Biden, you know,
Oh wow.
at our establishment. I've had Senator Cory Booker.
Um,
We've had
are
a
you voting?
lot of.
Are you voting for Biden? I don't know.
I am.
Okay.
I am. No, no, absolutely, absolutely. And we just get to do. I sit on a couple political boards here in Las Vegas, and
One more
it's just
question
nice.
before you go on.
Sure.
So what if it was Trump that wanted to host the event there? Would you still have allowed it, or would you?
Okay, so this is going to be really unpopular. So I will say this, because I've had Republican and nonpartisan Republican leaning um, politicians and organizations that have wanted to do events with us. And I'm a businesswoman. Ultimately, I like to be fair. I don't want to discriminate. But I will say this: in 2020, as I've helped organize, peaceful protests. Um, I've, witnessed certain things in this industry that don't personally sit well with me as a young Black woman. Um, I feel that it would be. Let me make sure I'm being very responsible with
No,
my
you're
words.
fine.
It would be such a slap in the face to people that look like me
Yeah.
and to women and other small business owners if I did. Now, politics aside, like I'm a businesswoman, but when we're talking about character, when we're talking about discrimination, when we're talking about um, any hate that's like stirring up, or anyone that's instigating that type of energy, I don't really care who you are. I don't really want to have anything to do with it. So it has nothing to do with politics. It really just has to do with people.
Yeah.
And I don't want to support anything that's going to make anyone feel less than. For example, simple example, R. Kelly. I remember I was at the bar one day and I was like hearing his music playing. I was like, oh no, 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 no. Like
Yeah.
that can't happen. And it was, and we can't police the world, like I don't even know how the song came up. I don't know if it was a DJ at the time or Spotify. I don't really know what happened. But I remember we had a women's organization doing like a paint and sip event.
Yeah.
And I was mortified as a woman, you know.
Yeah.
And I was
No, it's
thinking, like,
understandable.
it's not just about like my personal views. It's like, what am I endorsing? What am I saying that I'm okay with?
Yeah.
And so I think that that's a long-winded answer, but whether if I were a school teacher, I would have to have a certain level of responsibility. If I were a social worker, so I think whatever it is that you do, be a professional in that. Always bring your integrity and your moral compass. But yeah, it would have nothing to do with politics. It would just have everything to do with, like, I don't want that negativity and hate in my
Right.
place of business.
Do you kind of feel like if you, let's just say you did allow him to be in there, would you say you might feel like a hypocrite or like a sellout just because it goes against your beliefs, or not even your beliefs, but kind of like.
Well, like, two things. Yeah, I mean, that's a fair question. I'm glad that you said that because it makes me think. It makes me think on the other side of it too. So before we got this far into the election, I was doing some stuff with Elizabeth Warren's team, Senator Warren's campaign, and I was able to host events at that
I'm
jewel,
sorry, you're cutting off. If you don't
and
mind
even though
giving
I
it a
did not
quick
open
second. Sorry,
September,
I said you
I
cut
felt
off real quick. I guess give it
sure.
a quick second to load, I guess. And sorry, I don't mean to put you like on the spot either, but this is just it's interesting to hear stuff like this too because
No, it's fine. It's totally fine.
but okay, it cut off on literally right when you started talking about Senator Warren or shoot.
Yeah, I was just saying that
Okay, you're good now. Sorry.
I was just saying that even though I did not endorse her, um I still felt it was important to participate in all the events and make sure that those running her campaign knew that they could bring information to Classic Jewel. And the reason why I felt that it was important, even though, I at that time I was undecided in who I was voting for, there's two things. I had to think about it in terms of responsibility. Was I showing people that this is who I was voting for with my actions? But then I was thinking about exposure, like where can people that look like me that are supporting our business or coming for cocktails, this seems like a great opportunity for me to introduce this candidate and
Yeah.
introduce her platform. So it was kind of like one of those things where it just really wasn't about me. It's not about me. And so then I think about your question and I think about, when you were asking me about Trump, if it were just that simple as providing like the information and saying like, hey, let's go over the facts. Let's get someone from his team to kind of break down things. Then I feel like I'm more of a vehicle to help people arrive to their decisions. But unfortunately, we can't take that mature approach because there's just so much hate wrapped around it, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of like ignorance that comes with it. But if we were just talking about the facts, I would be open to things like that. But that's not what this is,
Yeah. No, I understand.
and we're just like way too far from that. But in a normal situation, it'd be great to say, you know what, no one needs to make these decisions for you. Let's talk about, the platforms. But when we're talking about, sexism and racism and, it's just like, I can't even get to that. So,
So,
yeah.
sorry. I'm not laughing about sexism and racism. I'm just laughing because I
No,
was just
it's
picture.
crazy that we even have to think that way,
Yeah,
but
I was just picturing like going to a bar, having two different political or not even political views, but two different people that have two different beliefs or views, and then them being drunk. I'm sure that that'd be a pretty nice scene.
you know, we've had so many political events, and I've never seen that happen. Okay, so the first election when Trump was running, we did have a neighbor, and she is long gone. She's since moved years ago. But I guess when she found out, this was when Bernie Sanders was running against him in the previous
the
4 years
the
ago.
Clinton and the Trump one, right? Like the 2016.
Yes,
Yeah.
2016. Thank you. And she decided that she was just going to have a little protest by herself right in front of the event. So to me, it's kind of like I'm all for free speech and all of that, but sometimes people just want to be disruptive and
Yeah.
people want to be confrontational. But outside of that, I've never seen it's never gotten that far. And I think because we're such a progressive establishment that even being able to participate in politics in the way that we do it in a respectful way, and we attract like-minded people. So the majority of the people that come into our establishment, regardless of if they're Republican or Democrat, I feel like there is a certain level of like tolerance that we have for each other and respect that you don't even know. You don't even know the difference. I mean, I've been around people that I know for a fact are registered Republicans, not sure how they're voting, but they've
Yeah.
been supportive and they've been at the events that are all, for the most part, progressive and you know more democratic focus. So I really think that most people are just like, that's not the majority, the ignorance. Like that's not the majority. The majority are people that just want to, want to survive all this.
Yeah.
They want to participate in this democracy, and they're like kind of over like the politics of it all. So we never have like that type of engagement at the bar. It's never happened.
Okay. It's pretty much even if they have opposing, not opposing views. See, I'm not trying to make this sound confrontational, but like even if they have different views, there you go. That's a better way to say that. They support people. They don't support like their like
Yes.
politics, like you were saying, or different beliefs. They're there to help someone just have a better life more than anything, right?
Right. Exactly.
Um, do you have people that go to your bar and read a book?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love those people. I love those people. We have people that come with books, with their laptops. One of my girlfriends, who's also one of our neighbors, she is like the best. She has all her meetings there.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
we have a lot of, yeah, it's the best. And the good thing about Classic Jewel is when you walk in, you always know someone. There's always, and even if you don't know them directly, like you've seen them in there before, or because of where we're located, we're right by the court buildings and things like that. So a lot of the attorneys have offices down here. So I feel like it's like the best networking. We've had both Goodman mayors, both Mayor Goodmans, um,
Um,
Oscar and then
quick
his
second. So
wife.
you said you weren't
Uh,
on this trip, right? Where exactly are you guys located? That way
Sure, we
we
are.
can get a better
Yeah,
picture.
we're downtown Las Vegas. Yeah, so we are probably about 4 blocks, I'd say, from Fremont Street, 2 blocks over from Las Vegas Boulevard. So we are, we're kind of, we are at the start of where downtown starts. So it's like kind of right in that area. So we get the tourists from the Strip, but we also get the tourists from Fremont. Um, I love our location. I think that when tourists come in, they kind of know that this is a local spot. So their behavior kind of shifts, which is nice. Um, and usually like when you're traveling, and let me know if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
you kind of want to like hanging out, dating. Because they're like, oh, they know all the good they do drinks. So we're kind of in between
Uh,
that.
I'm sorry, you cut off right there again. Um, what was it? What were you saying when I go into town or? Sorry.
So we are right. So we're a couple blocks. No, it might be my fault.
Yeah.
We are 2 blocks away from Las Vegas Boulevard, and then we're about 4 blocks from Fremont Street. So we're kind of in between. Like we get a lot of the convention, the
Hmm.
folks that are here for conventions, a lot of people that are coming off the strip that want a local experience. But we also get a lot of tourists that are coming from Fremont as well.
Yeah.
So we get a mix.
Okay. And dang. And I heard like half of what you were saying before, and I hate to cut that it cuts off like that too. Uh, and I say I'm sorry because I know you're saying it's your connection, but I'm apologizing because it sounds like you're gonna say some interesting stuff. So that's why I said, oh, I'm sorry that you had to cut your conversation short. Oh, she froze again, people. Okay. Uh, I guess we'll give it a quick second, everyone. Well, I'll go live to myself real quick. If you guys are watching live right now, let me know if you guys are enjoying the podcast so far. Okay, she's back. Give me a quick second. Let me go back to the.
Hello.
Okay, sorry. It cut off. So, but you're back now. You're not frozen no more. Can you hear me?
So yeah, I think I was just I can.
Okay.
Can you hear me on your end?
Yeah, you're good now. Sorry if you heard me talking to the people. I might sound crazy sometimes. Okay. So so you were saying that people from like conventions go from the Strip go. From Fremont they go there. What would be a good reason for people to go to the Classic Jewel if you had to summarize that, I guess.
I could think of so many, but the top reasons are, we're a local spot. We're off the strip. We've got great cocktails, great food. We're a hookah lounge. We've got live music, and we're like a true community bar. When you think of a bar, you think of things that are kind of like more divey, a little hole in the wall. We're not that. We've got the Cheers energy, but more of the hotel lobby aesthetic. It's great because if you want to support a Black-owned business, a woman-owned business, if you want to support and keep small businesses going, there is so much power that you have in your spending. So to me, that's another great reason to come support us, because we appreciate your dollars. We value your dollars. That's just not something we take for granted. And then also, it's just a good vibe. I mean, there's great networking. I think you'd be surprised of how many people that are just, everyday people, but have so much influence that find their way at Classic Jewel on a regular basis. So, I mean, I feel like we're kind of all the things, I mean, you might be looking for like a quick turn up and you want to hear some of the best DJs in the city. But, you don't want to think about a lot of the taxing that comes from hanging out on the strip. So I can think of so many reasons, but the majority, the biggest reason is, we're just out here trying to push a good time. We want you to feel loved when you walk through our doors. And, especially at a time right now, the way you spend your money is so impactful. So, I mean, just spend it with people that care and appreciate it. I mean, like what you were saying with the bathroom attendant before, Jerry,
Yeah.
when you were just showing him that love and he appreciated it so much.
Well, that sounds kind of crazy.
Well, okay, let me rewind. I mean that your dollar directly impacts us. It helps us keep our doors open. And it's just, it's a great place to be. You feel all the good vibes when you walk in. And that we want you back. This isn't a place where, you're going to be one and done. We want to get to know you. We want to see you again, even if you're just in Vegas once or twice a year. We're looking to make that connection. So I think that's my long answer.
Okay, no, that's good. People, this isn't scripted. That's straight from her heart. But maybe I'll go do a podcast there one day, huh?
Yes, please do. Yeah. Please do. You have the invitation.
Oh, okay. Just send me the tab, and I'll see how many installments it'll take me to reserve the place.
Oh no, it wouldn't even be that way at all. Which is something also that prior to everything, we were doing a lot of private events and things like that. And it's just great to be able to offer more than just cocktails. It's great to let people know that, this is a place where we want you to do your holiday parties and your graduation celebrations and things like that. So we have, we're more than cocktails. We're more than cocktails.
No, that's good to know.
Podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. Podcasts. It's because obviously when you think of a bar, you just think like, oh, I'm gonna go there, get drunk, and just just black out, have a good time. Well, maybe not you specifically, but a lot of people do. Like, oh,
I've been there before. Yeah. I've been there before. It's been a long time, but I've been there before.
And so it's good to hear that there's more to it than just drinks. That there's actual people there. That the owner is someone that actually cares about their community. That cares about, well, like you said, like I said, you said, it's a piece of you. So it's good to see that. It's not just a building that's there to take your money. It actually has characteristics and it has soul in it too.
And I live here, and so it's one of those things that like, I never want to have that there goes the neighborhood feeling, you don't ever, we're so invested because this is where, we've invested in terms of real estate. It's like, if you wanted to customize a bar for you, what that would look like. And I think that if you take that loving approach, like everyone's going to win because we want we want to feel that way when we walk in. And the only way that I'm able to feel that way is if I look around and other people feel that way.
Uh, when you, I guess growing up, were you raised to like, let's just say you have a guest over, were you raised to like,
Mhm.
let's just say when you were younger, you served yourself something to drink and you got some snacks. Were you the type of person that just drank your drink in front of the person and ate your snacks without offering, or were you raised to like, hey, you have someone over, you gotta serve them. If you know if it's dinner time, tell them to go sit at the table. We'll serve you a plate. We'll serve them a drink. Like, were you raised like that, or was it just more like, oh, let them ask and then they can go ahead and get it or whatever?
I feel that I got my first, I guess, taste of hospitality training
Okay.
of the service industry at home. I mean, I grew up in a very, okay, so my mother, she was always big on etiquette. My stepfather, he grew up in a very like militant household. So everything, I remember being so nervous at the dinner table because, I had to know exactly where my bread plate needed to be, and I needed to understand how to use all the cutlery the right way. We were involved in different type of like debutante type of organizations. My sister and I, when we were younger. So I feel. Oh, and in college, I taught an etiquette course, very very briefly. Not like a course, but like a series
Yeah.
outside of like the classroom. Um, and so I feel like just being a polite person is just how I was raised. I'm one of those people that, I think I saw a meme about it when you go out to dinner, like the waiter puts a fork down, you're like, thank you. Then they put the cup down, you're like, thank you. Like I always am actively thanking them. Um, and I think that's just how we were raised. It's probably really annoying. Like I'm
Yeah.
sure people in the service industry know those people that will thank them for setting down 5 different things 5 different times. Um, but just going with your question, I think that's a part of that. I think once that's instilled in you to be thoughtful and mindful, especially when people are coming into your home. And because I live here in the building, every time someone walks into our place of business, I feel like they're at my home, And so, we don't always get it right, but I do think that when our team also feels that same way, the level of service is just so much better. And it's not about, being able to like take care of so many people and handle everything. I mean, it's not even about that. It's more so of letting people see your efforts, acknowledging them. That's super important. Because I've been swamped there, trying to make it all work. And I know that I wasn't able to give like the best level of service. But I think as long as you acknowledge people and you make them feel valued, people are understanding.
Yeah. No, I agree. And the only reason I asked that was to see if that maybe that helped carry over to your business. That helped kind of shape how you treat customers there. Um, so you
Absolutely.
so you said your father was kind of strict, or not strict, but it's
No,
strict.
he
Strict.
was.
Okay. Uh,
Yeah, he definitely my stepdad. Yeah, for
oh,
sure.
your stepdad. Okay.
Mhm.
What was Didn't you say you played for the Raiders?
Okay, no, so that was my mother's stepdad.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, so she grew up in Oakland.
Okay.
Not my grandfather, but my grandmother remarried, and that was my mother's stepdad who played for the Raiders. But my stepdad, actually, he's since passed. Today's actually his birthday, so
Oh.
maybe we're meant to talk about him today. No, it's a good thing. It's a
Yeah.
good thing to be able to share positivity. Um, I think I think he just wanted us to be always a better version of him. And I think that that's what parents do.
Yeah.
Um, it just looks different,
Yeah. And
it
then
looks,
too,
it looks different.
parents don't
Mhm.
have like a guide to help raise someone, so it's a little trial and error too. Uh,
Right.
do you feel like that him being strict kind of helped you with your work? Maybe like
It helped me in every way. Whether it's, work ethic, whether it's like, he used to make me read the newspaper every day. I still read the paper every day. Um, he was the reason I ran for student council, junior high, high school, college. Um, I think it'd be kind of weird for him if he knew the industry that I was in,
Yeah.
how this whole story turned out. Because I do not think he ever saw this for me. But he worked for the city of Las Vegas for a long time, and he was the one that really exposed me to downtown. We lived in the burbs, so the only time I really got a taste of this neighborhood that I live in and own a business in now was when I would be visiting him at work. And a lot of the mentors that I have and the people that support us, these are people that kind of watched he and my mom raise me. So it's really cool full circle because he was involved in local politics for the same people that he worked with to be some of our regulars, people that are constantly pouring into to me as an entrepreneur, and then also helping me stay involved in the community outside of just the hospitality industry. They make sure I have a seat at the table. And so I don't think, well, I know if it weren't for, growing up in such a strict household, I know that I wouldn't have the drive that I have. And so I think that, and just being downtown, when Franklin and my mother first decided to move downtown, I thought it was like the craziest thing. And though they never did together, this idea wouldn't have even been in our head. Not the bar, but just downtown living.
Yeah. And you said that maybe he would find it weird or not off-putting, but just I guess a little weird that the business that you're doing now. But maybe once he stepped
He
foot.
wanted me to be an attorney. He wanted me to be an attorney and a judge. So it has nothing to do with like the business. It's more so of like,
what he pictured you
but who
doing.
knows?
Yeah.
Yes,
But
yes,
maybe
exactly.
once he stepped inside and he actually saw your whole bar and he saw like your personality in it, I think he'd probably like be like, all right, you know what, this is for her and she's doing a good job and she's not homeless.
Yeah, I think so.
And she,
Right, right. That's always the goal, right?
yeah.
No, you're absolutely right, and I think that I'm feeling more like I want to kind of get back on some of the standard that he set in terms of just focusing, myself as a businesswoman. I love the industry, and I don't want to take away from that, but it would be wrong for me to position myself as if that, like I was this, like you mentioned before, this bartender for many, many years, and I worked my way up. That's just not my story. I'm excited to be able to continue to grow and to make good, business decisions. I'm super proud to be a leader within my team. And honestly, like the best part of being an entrepreneur is I get to create jobs. And so I hope to continue to be able to do that. And I think that that's something that he would be very proud of, just knowing that I look out for the people that look like me. I want to make sure that we always have, we're always competing at an even playing field. And so even though I'm in the bar business, I'm still very much in tune with my community and what's going on.
uh, as a not just as a business owner, but as a woman business owner, do you feel that there are some disadvantages that you have, or if do you mind shedding light on some of those?
Not at all. The reason why, I mean, there are things that are systematically like set up a certain way. We talked about exposure earlier. I think it starts in the beginning. I think that the reason why Black women are the fastest growing entrepreneurs is because we've had to take a different stance in things, and I think instead of trying so hard to be a part of a club that has been resistant or has not always appreciated us, it's you have to create the room. You kind of have to just like demand what you deserve. And I think that it's difficult because you don't always see people that look like you doing it. And so it creates these layers of, it feels even harder than it even has to be because you're looking around and you don't know who's advocating for you. Um, I personally feel that as an entrepreneur, I'm able to kind of fight that a little bit more because I can be a little bit more radical in the things that I say and the respect that I demand. And not even radical. I shouldn't even say that word.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Um, when I worked in corporate America, I would be too fearful to demand a certain level of respect. I worked in sports, so I'm used to a boys club. Then I worked in the ad business, and now I own a bar. And so I think that there's never been a layer to where I felt like, wow, there's so many women in this industry, or oh wow, there's so many women of color or Black women in this industry. Um, and so like everything from the beginning, I mean, just like my age, I mean, I'm 34, I have a youthful look. People come into my establishment and they'll say like, are you old enough to be here? People will talk around me. Business partner who's a gentleman who's in his 50s. And, it's not, it has everything to do with maybe, me being a woman. My stature, I'm 4'11" and a half. I'm like 100 pounds. That has, that kind of plays a factor. But I hate when people decide how much respect they're going to give you based on how you look or how much they think you have or, your age or whatever whatever reasons or motivations. But
Whatever they feel is appropriate, pretty much, right?
Right. But, I just think that we're living in a time now that we don't really have to stand for it. And, I think that trying to be a part of a club that just hasn't accepted us is just like not a good use of our time, So to me is I don't even get back into the back and forth of it anymore. I try not to take it personally, but it's out there. And anyone that denies it, they got to do a little bit more research. The government wouldn't have set aside programs. They wouldn't have disadvantaged business certifications if it was a level playing field. It just wouldn't happen if there were the right, if it were balanced, right, with men and women. We wouldn't talk about pay gaps. If it were balanced, as it relates to race or geography or finances, like we wouldn't be having these conversations. So at every turn of the business, at every single turn of the business has affected me.
Yeah. Now, yeah, it's crazy because I remember it's been a couple weeks, but I don't want to make this about myself, but I have another podcast with my cousin, and it's like a weekly show. We talk about different topics that we hear and like stuff we hear about, right? And he told me there's
Mm-hmm.
like a statistic saying that like the top percent of the richest people in the world were white men, and it's crazy to hear it. It's not crazy to hear that, but it's just crazy to believe that it's hard for well, I'm Hispanic. It's hard for like minorities to even try to get near that or to get close to that because we start our place at the race, we start way behind than at the starting line. We can be like, let's just say like 5 yards behind the starting line, and so it's not just a race thing or like a gender thing, but at the same time, like you said, it is true that we do have some disadvantages, and for people that like you and me, that we go ahead and do what we feel like we can do, not what we're expected to do. It's pretty
Mm-hmm.
great because we're showing that it doesn't matter where you come from, but you can get there too as long as you try, right?
Right. But that's why representation is, I mean, not to sound like a quote, but representation is so important. I don't know many women that are bar owners that look like me in this town. Like I really don't
Yeah.
totally know any. And that's not a brag. Like that's ridiculous in 2020 in the entertainment capital of the world. Like that makes no sense to me. Um, but I had to get outside of my comfort zone and, be the person that spoke out in situations that like I really didn't want to speak out in. Sometimes you just want to be like, you just want to put your head down and do your job. But unfortunately, like society does not allow us to not be Black or not be brown or not be a woman or not be, at a disadvantage. If society were giving us something different, we wouldn't have to continue to like have these types of conversations. But when I look around and I'm only seeing white guys in space,
Sorry, you
kind of
you were cutting off right
you know,
there. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
the bar. I gotta, oh,
Yeah, I know. I'm telling you, every time it gets good too is when it decides to
I
do
can
it.
hear you.
Okay. It cut off where
Oh,
you said when I look around and I see that's where it ended up cutting off and you're still frozen. So I'll give it
okay.
a quick pause. Okay. Um so I you said when you look around and you see that's what I'm assuming you were gonna say white men or something like that. Uh
Yes. Yeah, I think that like, sometimes, I don't always feel like being a woman today. I don't always feel like being a black person today. I don't always, I don't want to always be an activist.
yeah.
Sometimes I just want to run my business and do my job, but I don't have that luxury
Yeah.
because unfortunately in 2020, I'm a trailblazer in this industry. Did not plan for that. Um, but I also think that it's been great pressure for me because I've had to change who I am as a woman, and I've had to be a lot more intentional in, the conversations that I have and the things that I do. I think that if I was able to kind of fly under the radar, um, I probably would have taken that opportunity because I came from a space where you just want to fit in. Now I wear my hair curly or I wear braids or I have tattoos and I can outwardly express myself, excuse me, but before I was not able to do that. And so I think you just don't want to make waves, you just want to like, you don't want to be the person that is to be an expert in all things women or
Yeah.
all things black people. Like I just wanted to be a bar owner. But in 2020, when the representation is not there, I have to like show up,
Yeah.
because there are young people, there are young women, there are black women that may have same aspirations, but they're also looking around and like, I don't know anyone in this space. So I've had to grow up in a way that like, I just didn't always sign up for, like I just didn't want it. But the community has like challenged me in the best way. And now I'm actively like serving on different boards of organizations, actively, like speaking at, on podcasts and, the magazine, I mean, there's just different things that are kind of coming right now that Black women are being celebrated as entrepreneurs. And then not only that, like this year got really real,
Yeah. Most definitely.
looking at social media, I think to myself, like, I'm so thankful to be an entrepreneur because there are like, I remember when Trump first got elected into office and going to work that day and thinking like, this is going to be a really long day,
Yeah.
and and it wasn't even about politics. It's just like when you know that people would put profit over people, it's kind of like, you're not for me, but I still
Yeah.
have to work with you and for you. And it's still a game that we all have to play. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not in any space where I don't have to play the game. I just know that when I create more room for other people that look like me or young people, it's like like I'm doing my part to try to create more of an even playing field and to let people see that like you said, like why not me? Like if I can do this, then you totally can. And your take on your podcast, I wanted to mention the name of it. It spoke to me in a different way than like how you designed it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned and I don't know if you want to kind of preview what you were saying before we jumped on about, kind of like why you started the podcast and exposing people to like different things, because then it's like, well, if they see you, then they can ask themselves. When I read the name of your podcast, when you first reached out, it spoke to me in a different way. It felt like more of a sense of responsibility. It was like, sometimes you don't feel ready for certain things. Like you think like, well, I just own a bar. Like who cares what I have to say about policy
I
or
care.
politics or race. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jerry. Or race or things like that. But you know, it's one of those things where it's like,
It it started cutting off. Let me sorry, it started cutting off right there. Um Give me a quick second. Okay, let you load back in. Okay. Looks like you're good. You want to give a quick wave so I can see that you're back? Okay. You're good. So go ahead and explain the
no, just your name. I mean, just the why not me. It spoke to me differently than why you created it. But it was really cool because sometimes we feel like I'm just one person or I'm just a bar owner. And then somebody sees something and it creates like a ripple effect and it's like an impact. And we were talking about the American Airlines magazine and how, you know, you just feel like, you know, you're in a thankless job as an entrepreneur sometimes and no one's like, you know, no one cares about like how you feel or what you think. And then, you know, sometimes when you're not even paying attention, someone's inspired by your story, or you know, they find you relatable because they didn't find the other 10 people relatable. And so it's like, you know, I kind of have to ask myself now, like, why not me? Like, this is my job. Like, I don't need to be looking over my shoulder to the next woman to figure this out. Like, the buck can stop here and I can kind of create that energy for other women. But no, like, I actually am going to start saying that more to myself, like, why not me? But in that responsibility sense, like, don't pass the buck, you
yeah.
know, like, you know, why not you? Why not you solve this problem? Why not you, you know, volunteer um, to be a trailblazer, to represent? I didn't sign up for it. And so it was just kind of like, I'm kind of rolling back into it. But I'm glad that, like, what an awesome name, because it definitely, you know, it kind of lit a little fire under me.
Yeah. All right. I'll give you a discount if I make a T-shirt. Okay. uh,
Sounds good. I'll pay full price. You know, I mean, we got to pay full price to keep our businesses
oh,
alive.
okay.
So,
I was gonna say,
you know, we don't have to discount.
don't worry. The owner will know that that you're getting a little cut. um,
Right,
and
right.
I appreciate that. Okay, so you said like okay, so on the topic, why not me? You said that you looked around and you didn't see anyone that was like you, right? That was either a woman or for the black community, and you you took that
Not in the same way, you know, not to discredit any, you know, because
yeah,
there's been a lot that has
of
happened
course.
before me. So not to, but in terms of like where we're at right now, with it looking the way that it does, and because I have my own story
Yeah,
that is relatable.
and everyone's environment is different too. I'm not saying that they, people don't exist, and it's a big world. Of course, there are certain people that are achieving certain things, not mattering like their race or their skin. They're just doing it. But with like I said earlier, we kind of are a minority. So well, not me. I'm not. I'm not.
Oh yeah,
I'm
we
not
are.
making money. But like
No,
yeah, no, I know.
I'm not.
But
Who said I was?
but we
My
are
business is making money.
a minority, and we didn't choose to be in the role that we're in. But since you are in that role, or I'm in my role, you might as well do the best you can with it, right? Like
Right.
so. I feel like this is pretty much a good spot to end it. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the live question segment. Anyone that's watching, if you guys have any questions for Ryan, go ahead and ask. We're gonna take a quick break, and then after the questions, you can go ahead and drop any of the social media you want, any websites. That sound good? Okay, so
Sounds good.
we're gonna take a quick 45-second break. Let's go.
One, two, 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 two. Public service announcement for people out there listening to this funky ass boom bap album. Check it out.
So waiting for some of the questions to load. We'll see if we get one. But someone texted me saying that they can't comment on here, but they're saying that it's awesome everything that you've done, and well, me as well. That's cool. But and that they agree with the why not me. It does spark a fire. But do you have a question for me? Normally, when no one asks, that's what I do to fill
No,
that in.
I do. So I would, I've been wanting to have a podcast for a while, and I just, I kind of felt like, who cares what I have to say, or I don't want to look, silly on the internet,
Yeah.
or, I don't want to open myself up to judgment. But my question for you is, what was it that was there something you saw or heard, or what was it that kind of made you decide that I'm going to start before I'm ready? Because I feel like I never feel ready for certain things, and I just have to start. So what was it for you that was just like, today's the day?
Okay. So let's see. So you know how you say you start work at 5 in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
So I start work at 5 or 6 in the morning as well. For the first 3 to 4 hours, before we open up, it's just me in the back room sorting everything, getting everything ready. I'll have AirPod in my ear to listen to something as I work, so it's not as boring, because
Mm-hmm.
I probably would not work anymore if I didn't have anything to listen to. And after a while of listening to music, you hear the same songs over. It's impossible to find continuous music that you keep liking. Like, you eventually keep repeating it. And so I started listening to podcasts, and I always told myself, you know what, this is entertaining to me. I like what people have to say. I like different perspectives. Maybe maybe one day I can do this. And so I kept saying, maybe one day, I'll do this. I'll wait till I have the perfect setting. I have the perfect environment. I have, a set office or set studio, and I'll do it. I'll have good production. I'll have this and that. And I told myself the reason why I named it Why Not Me, I was like, if everyone else can do it, why not me? So that's the main reason of the Why Not Me podcast. And I I actually started doing this in the corner of my kitchen. I had set two small desks together. I set my computer, my monitor, my camera, and I just told myself, if I don't do it right now, I'm never going to do it. So
Mm.
so I just figured now's the time. The first guest I had on here, it was Joshua Michael Nam from Import Image Racing. He sells car
Okay.
parts. His warehouse is in Florida. They just got a new, bigger warehouse. He told me his company makes about 4 million a month. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So that was awesome. Like, for the first for my first episode, he talked a lot, which was great because I was still trying to figure out how to do the show. So him taking over helped me out a lot. So I guess what made me finally do this was just I realized that even if one person listened, why not me? Why not I do this? Because I listen to other people do it. So eventually, someone's gonna have to like to hear what I say. So that's how I started the Why Not
Well,
Me
you're
podcast.
inspiring me. You're inspiring, because especially right now, we talk about people just needing to see you do it so they can be inspired. And,
Yeah,
we're not going out as much. We're in our homes. I too love podcasts. I love music, but you can only hear, like you said, so much. But if I'm working out right before bed, I'm a sponge for information.
yeah,
I go down rabbit holes all the time. I'm
good and
like
bad.
YouTube University. Yeah, good and bad. Like, sometimes I'm like, okay, I've already learned so much about this company only to find out that I want nothing to do with them. But I'll spend like 2 days researching
Yeah,
things. But I think that some of us are just like that. We're always seeking knowledge, and listening to podcasts does so much for me that I'm like, well, like, kind of your thought process. So you've definitely inspired me. I'm not saying that I'm starting it
yeah,
anytime soon, but you never know. It's good because it's not about having like this huge audience. It's about creating a platform where you see that there is a need. And I've already identified a need, as you did as well. it's kind of like, now that you've identified it, now what are you going to do?
Exactly. And if anyone's ever feeling discouraged or like keeps putting it off for the perfect opportunity, uh, you might not ever get the perfect opportunity. So you might just have to make your own opportunity and just make it work. Like I said, I was in the
Start before you're ready.
yeah, I was in the corner of my kitchen, um, literally like just the shape. If anyone goes back and watch, man. Okay, so I called my first episode. This was actually before I had a guest on here. I called it the pilot because
Okay.
pilots are what they test before they run on. So it was just me, um, just like I'm like, all right, what do I say? What do I do? I was like, all right, I'll say the concept of my show. Whoever watches. Before I got this microphone, I had this little mic on my headset, so I talked through that, and I just explained to people like that. The first 4 minutes of that, I was like the cogs were just churning. They were all rusted and they were just going slow. Like this is what the Why Not Me podcast is gonna be. I'm Jerry. This is what the show's gonna be about, what I want it to be about, why I want to start it, and then like I just got into a rhythm. Like the second half is just flowing naturally. I'm talking how I'm talking now, and so I figured COVID time is perfect because we can't meet face to face. So this is a perfect opportunity to let people know that, hey, you know what, I might as well do Zoom because that's what everyone has to do anyways. So it ended up working out pretty good.
Exactly.
Um, I have a little office for now. I upgraded, but yeah. Did you
No, I think it's great. I think it's great.
yeah, just take that first step. Like I said, you're not gonna have the perfect opportunity, and if you do take it, but sometimes you got to make your own opportunity. You do have perfect. Work with what you got.
I have one more question for you. Just a real quick question
Yeah,
as
no
it
problem.
relates to your podcast. Do you find it easier? Because I was thinking like live, like that's kind of scary. But do you find that there's a sense of like accountability when you go live? Because I feel like I don't know if I would have started and stopped so many times by now, because if I had messed up or if I didn't like how I sounded or looked, it would have affected me so many times. So, um, sorry, there's a
It,
loud refrigerator.
it's okay.
But do you find that live has helped with that, or like what's the experience been?
So, for so I how I told you I have another podcast that I do with my cousin, uh, top 3 views podcast for anyone that's interested. um, See, that's an organic promotion right there. I
Mhm.
think you know more about that than I do, but but yeah, I like the live because I don't have to edit after. I don't have to worry about doing a double take. I don't got to worry about, oh, let me try that again. Is this perfect? No, let me try that again. You know what? One more take. One more. No, this is organic conversation. This I didn't send you a script or anything, right? Like, okay, see,
Nope.
that's one of the questions I sent her to say no to.
I knew none of the questions.
Okay. And I've had 2 people ask me before, and I did send them some general questions I'll probably ask because I think of random stuff as we talk, obviously. But I like the live aspect because I have for 2 reasons. I don't gotta worry about editing. Whatever happens, happens. There have been some times where the Zoom has crashed. The thing I do the live with has crashed, and then I
My
had to
network was not strong. I
yeah.
had too much on the Wi-Fi, so that happened.
Yeah, that too. Sometimes I have to go back and re-ask someone something, but that's part of the show. That also shows that like not everything's gonna be perfect, but still go out there and at least try.
Yeah, well, as soon as I get my first podcast under my belt, I'll make sure that I credit you for inspiring me, because you're doing it, and I think it's so important for everyone to see that. Like you said, you're never going to feel ready. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just 2 people having a conversation, and I think we need to do a lot more of that.
Yeah, I agree. I like this form of podcast. Well, all podcasts are talking, but it's just different perspectives, you know, different parts of the world. And actually, my fiance asked, do you have any advice for entrepreneurs trying to make their business succeed when there may be a lot of competition?
Yeah, so I think competition is a great thing. Hello to your fiance. What's her name?
Laura Mendoza
Hi, Laura.
from YouTube.
Thank you for asking a question. I think that so the advice that I would give, let me make sure that the last part of the question, it was advice for
Entre-
entrepreneurs about a competition in their industry. Um, Competition is a good thing, and I think that so much of the time we're like trying to figure out how to like reinvent the wheel. But when we look around, like the biggest companies that have had the most success have had strong competitors, whether it's like Uber and Lyft or Walmart and like
Amazon.
Samsung and Costco or Walmart and Target or whatever. I think that I don't think that we're reinventing the wheel too much anymore. And I've learned as an entrepreneur that when you find your buyer first, it makes it so much easier. So when you're looking at an industry that's super saturated, like the bar industry, it's kind of like, well, you know that no one's going to do it like you, because you have your own unique experiences. And you also know that like this has already been proven to work. It already works. So you don't have to do, sample sizes and test runs and things like that. So I would just recommend, any aspiring entrepreneur that's jumping into a very saturated field to just like look inward instead of outward. The competition's always going to be there, but use the things that they have already like tried that didn't work for them, and then take the things that are working for them. But believing in yourself and having that confidence. I mean, I struggle with that on a daily basis. Getting too far. It's so easy to see what other people are doing. Okay. So this is a good quote. Sorry to cut myself off, but this is pretty good. Her name is Cleo Wade. She's like my favorite author / poet. And she has this line, I'm going to get kind of messed up, but it was like to the effect of be careful trying to walk in someone's shoes because you could, like basically you could find yourself in a lifetime of not walking in your own shoes because you're so busy trying to do things a certain way. So I would just say there's so much money to be made. There's so many people in the world that getting distracted by that is such a bad use of your time. But yeah, like there's a reason why there's a lot. That means it works, and that means there's a lot more room.
All right, that's a pretty good answer. I like that answer too because there's a lot of podcasts, and like I said, I'm not.
But a win looks different for you, we all are winning in our own way. So, I kind of feel that it's really good to not subscribe to what everyone else is subscribing to. And if a win for you is just getting your foot in the door and getting started. Some people, it's like, I'm motivated by money. And so I want to figure out how I monetize this podcast and get ads running right away. For other people, it might just be like, this is something that's important to me because I want to accomplish it. So, figuring out what your why is and then like moving in that direction without being distracted by other people's whys.
Yeah, that's a good answer too. But the only thing I don't like about it is do subscribe.
All those things.
That's important. That's important for my podcast.
Absolutely.
And one more question from Anna Mendoza from Facebook Messenger app. she's asking what's your next plan in responsibility sense of like what kind of projects do you plan on taking, or what kind of more organizations do you plan on moving forward with?
That's awesome. So I started a consulting company when all this was going on, kind of like the start of it. And initially it was focusing on women, small businesses that are women ran or led, and just helping them kind of navigate through this. So I'm thinking that transitioning more so in terms of like a consulting space to where I can kind of share with people the things that didn't work for me, the things that did work, talk to them about my experiences in transitioning from corporate America to entrepreneurship at a young age. So I really think like it's now kind of time to tell my story a little bit more and actively trying to figure out like what the needs are. So, if I'm, talking about that, I want there to be more women occupied in this space. It's organizing, right? Organizing, getting myself out there a lot more so people can see me as a resource. Having the easy conversations. I had a young woman come to me kind of quietly. She's a small business owner herself. And, I think everyone thinks that, she's got everything taken care of. She's on top of everything because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to always put the best version of ourselves out there. But I found it very rewarding that she felt a safe space with me to say, you know what, these are things that I'm not doing right now. I want my business to be legitimized. I want to make sure that if anything ever happened in court, or if anyone tried to, take from me, I want to be able to teach people about business credit. I want to, no matter what the business is, I want people to see me as a resource. And I really think that's the biggest turn for me. It's just kind of showing people the behind the scenes of vulnerability, of everything that I've gone through, and also the successes and the wins, because people need to hear about that too. So really just to connect with my people, the women and the men that want to be entrepreneurs, are the ones that already are entrepreneurs and are looking, for a community. Like, how do we support each other? So that's the next thing. And then also, I like this business that I'm in. I think another location probably sounds good. Ideally, I would love to be in the airport. That would be ideal. But even with that, it's learning that there are government programs to help make that happen. So I feel like it's all connected, right? The more I'm learning, the more I'm able to help other people do the same. So that's my long-winded answer. But yeah, I really do think that my activism is in helping people see the why not me.
Oh dang. That's a perfect way to that's a perfect way to end that right there. I appreciate you for coming on to the show. I had a good time. I learned a lot. You said that you want people to learn more about you. I hope that this is a step in that direction.
Yes. For the platform, the opportunity. So I want to make sure that I take the time, if it's okay with you, to mention a couple things about my business and then how people can reach out to me directly. My business is called Classic Jewel Cocktail Lounge in downtown Las Vegas. We're at 353 East Bonneville in the Jewel High Rise. And you can check us out online at www.classicjewellv.com. Again, my name is Ryan Brown. I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way to reach me. And it's Ryan, RYAN _SANADA. And Classic Jewel is also on Instagram, and it is Classic Jewel LV. So, I just want to, thank you for the opportunity. You've inspired me. I'm stepping a bit out of my comfort zone and having more of like this one-on-one conversation. So thank you. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about Classic Jewel and to talk about kind of what's next for me.
Yeah, I appreciate you joining the show. Like I said, you're the guest. This episode is all about you. It's all about the Classic Jewel. I'm an amateur journalist slash interviewer, so you actually helped me learn my craft better as well. So,
Awesome.
you said you studied journalism, so I hope my questions and my conversation was up to par with your standard.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, I think it's evident when, we naturally enjoy what we're doing and it happens organically. So thank you for making me feel comfortable. I also want to shout out the Classic Jewel team. Like I said before, we've got the best team. So
Shout out to Ryan.
Well, me, but, my team, you see me behind the bar making drinks. It's because someone didn't show up for work.
Yeah,
but that's about the only reason. And, or, we've got a new party or things like that. But we have the best team. I try not to make cocktails as much as possible because we've got the pros that are handling that. So please, Jerry, you and your fiance, maybe you'll come to Vegas and get married. I'm just
Yeah,
saying, you never.
we already had a fake wedding there.
Oh, okay.
um, you know at
But
the what is it, the wax museum? They
yes,
have that reception and they have that wedding dress there.
I'll see you guys.
So we took a fake. We asked. There was a random guy there too. My mom was there. She had like a black cardigan. So I put that
You
on, made it look like a sports jacket, and we just took a picture like from the waist up.
guys trick anyone?
Yeah, a lot of people thought we got married. And yeah, just some random guy was just standing there like this. So
You're with.
yeah, so like I said, shout out to you, shout out to your crew because they help make the Classic Jewel run. And I appreciate everyone watching at home. I appreciate everyone that watches this live and not live. Without you guys, there'd be less of a reason to do this. But you guys could find me live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Why Not Me podcast. You could catch me Mondays or Tuesdays on my other channel, the Top 3 Views podcast. I talk about not just I don't interview people on there. I just talk about different opinions and views I think of sports and news. Uh, so I appreciate everyone. I hope you guys have a good night, and I'll catch you next week. And I'm gonna go ahead and thank you, Ryan, once again. So, if you can bear with me for one more minute, I'm gonna talk to you off the screen, okay?